While Canadian steel and aluminum makers are breathing a sigh of relief following the Trump announcement today, Canadian officials were busy in Chile signing the Trans-Pacific Partnership deal. CBC's Susan Prince is here with those details. So now, Susan, I understand the International Trade Minister has already talked about signing this TPP. What's he saying?
Well, he's very concise and clear in what he had to say about it. And this was what he said. He said, I think we would all agree that there's never been a better time to diversify. And in fact, which makes sense given how much coverage and time we have been spending on trade agreements, whether it's NAFTA or TPP or the steel tariffs coming in. So the idea that Canadians can diversify away from that is very positive. And here's what the Trans-Pacific Partnership brings to Canada. We're looking at things like long-term economic gains of $4.2 billion to the Canadian marketplace, auto sector production up $206 million, and U.S. imports into Canada could drop by as much as $3.3 billion. So in the sense of the original objective was to diversify for countries specifically around the Pacific Rim, and they wanted to diversify away from the Chinese market. So because we're so dependent on that. Now, when the U.S. stepped away from TPP, it meant that they would still diversify, but not to the extent that I had hoped. So the TPP now represents about 13% of the world economy. Had the U.S. stayed involved, it would have been 40% and would have been a meaningful diversification for those countries around the Pacific Rim.
Right. Okay. So now there's more trade news coming, though, and yet another agreement on the horizon. Tell us about that.
A possible agreement, yeah, and let's keep diversifying. And this time it's with South American markets. So there is a trade bloc called Mercosur, and that is Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and Paraguay. And the idea here is now Canada would work a free trade agreement with that group of countries so that we diversify into the South American markets with less trade restrictions. So that's what's on the plate for our international trade minister tomorrow.
Mercosur. I've never even heard of that trade bloc before.
And it's been around since 1995, but it's a small group. It represents about 250 million consumers compared to TPP, which is about 500 million consumers.
Okay, terrific. Thank you, Susan.
Thanks, Diane.